Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and a welcome back as well to Burnham's Mere. So, long story as to why I'm down Burnham's Mere. Well, it's not a long story, but I'll tell you about it in a bit. Now, it's quite quiet down here this morning. I am down here a lot later than I wanted to be. But yeah, there's just what looks like 3 golden eyes, a pair of swans and some cormorants on Burnham's Mere so far. Now I'm going to go for a wander around in a minute. I've just actually been taking pictures of some beautiful blue dragonflies that are in these reeds here. And I was sat there taking them, and all of a sudden one of the giant cormorants just flew right over my head. And it kind of led me on to what I wanted to talk about today. And that is how to make sure you never miss that shot. Now, I'm going to sit here for a bit longer. Those golden eyes just appear to be getting a bit closer. They're a little bit too far away from me at the minute. But yeah, I'll pop up the pictures of the dragonflies now. And if I get any decent pictures of the golden eyes, I'll pop those up as well. And then we'll go for a walk around Burnham's Mere, see what else we can see. I'm not just focusing on water birds today. There might be some small birds. So yeah, fingers crossed, we'll get some shots. Man, what a beautiful day. So I know I've come down here for the photography, but how can you not just appreciate sitting down here and just soaking it all in? See, this is why I love nature, wildlife, landscape photography, because you get to come and just soak all this up. Man. Now, I promise you I'm not high. Well, actually, no, I am. I'm high on life. I'm high in the moment. How can you not be in a place like this? It really is food for the soul. Great for your mental health. Marvellous. So anyway, the photography side of things. After I finished taking pictures of those dragonflies, I did get one other shot. I don't think the golden eyes came out very well, but I did get another shot, which I'll come back to in a moment. I've come round and I've come onto this, I don't know what you want to call it, a mini peninsula that goes out into Burnham's Mere. It's tiny, 10 metres out if that. And yeah, there was a pair of common terns just sat on a rock that's now sticking out of Burnham's Mere. I was just about to start filming this bit for you guys, and the golden eyes came over a bit closer, so I'm hoping I managed to get a decent picture of that. And there was a black-headed gull on the water. Started taking pictures of the golden eyes, and the black-headed gull attacked the terns that were sat on the rock, and it's now the black-headed gull sat on the rock. So I've got a variety of pictures there, and I've actually had more of a successful morning than I would have anticipated with this weather. However, the one shot that I'm really hoping came out all right is a picture of a cormorant in flight. Now, it leads me back to the topic of this week's video, and I know I've rambled in this bit a little bit, but it all leads into this point. I was taking pictures, and I've got my camera set on single point, about 1/2000th of a second shutter speed, perhaps, maybe a bit lower, f6.3, auto ISO as standard when I'm doing wildlife photography. And a cormorant flew up into the air, circled round, and I managed to track him with the camera and take some shots. Now, how was I able to do that? Because I'll tell you what, I am not good enough to track a cormorant in flight, as big as they are. For a start, at probably a shutter speed lower than I would have liked, because they move quite quickly in the air. And also on a single point, there's no way I would have tracked this cormorant. And the key to getting that shot when an environment is changing so quickly, I did a video recently about knowing your camera. And this is kind of a tip to cut out 95% of that. And that is to set up a custom function that allows you to change your settings rapidly. Now, I picked this little tip up a while ago from Sinomon Dontremont, and it has changed my photography for the better because of how it allows me to rapidly change my settings. Now, let me get the camera. What I have got, this is the Sony. I think Simon uses Canon, and they have a very similar thing. Is obviously, you know, the buttons on the back of the camera. I have set it up so that if I press and hold this button, my settings automatically change until I release it. And I've got the settings set at an aperture of f6.3, because that's fairly standard for my wildlife photography. Auto ISO, 1/4000th of a second, and wide focus points, so essentially filling up the viewfinder with the focus points, which will allow me to track a bird in flight. And all I have to do is press and hold this button, which is convenient for where my thumb is located, next to the focus hold button. And then as soon as I hit that shutter, it's taking pictures, because this also holds focus as well. So I've got it all set up to settings that I'm really, really pleased with. There is one drawback to that, and I'll come back and talk about that in a moment. But that is how you can nail the shot in a rapidly changing environment.
Taking my time as the sun it shines on me and everyone that has come to find this world is cruel, but there's nothing new. Living in the moment is the only truth. Let's go slow. Living in the moment is the only truth. Let's go slow. Sorted towns are where I'd rather be. They give me love and they set me free. The ocean's tides can live without the moon. And darling, the same goes for me and you. Let's go slow.
So I just realised I've done a lot of talking on the video, and I've not actually done any walking and talking. Oh, tree. There it is. Okay, so apologies about the sun. It's obviously very bright down here. I'm in the canopy at the moment. There we go, that's a bit better. Apologies if I've blinded anyone. So, yeah. I half expected this to be a bit of a failure video, to be honest with you, but I'd already said I was going out with the camera. So out with the camera I came. You can see Burnham's Mere is very green and overgrown at the moment, so I'm not actually expecting to capture any small birds. But if the opportunity arises, obviously, I'm not going to miss it. What was that? Don't know. Sorry. very bright. But yeah, obviously if we see any small birds, I'll grab them now. Brambles, oh blimey. Now, obviously, everywhere being really overgrown is great for the wildlife, but it's not so great for the photography, but never mind. Another tree, dug under. I should probably stop filming. There's a reason why I haven't walked and talked so far today. So, because I've done a lot of talking and a lot of videos, I'm not going to keep this bit too long, but, sorry, a lot of talking and a lot of photography, surprisingly. As I say, I was expecting it to be rather unsuccessful. So I'm going to come back to the point, the downside then, and it's for lenses with optical stabilization. So I've got that custom function set up, and if a bird goes from, or I'm taking pictures of a static bird, let's hypothetically say those common terns that I was taking pictures of on that rock. If I'm taking pictures of them and all of a sudden the cormorant comes around and starts flying, it's all well and good holding that button. However, the Sigma 150 to 600 mm art, which is what I use for my wildlife photography, has 2 levels of optical stabilization. I believe it's quite common in telephoto lenses. One, and it is literally option 1, is for static birds, and I believe it has a 4-point axis for the image stabilization. Option 2 is designed for panning and only uses the optical stabilization from left to right, or right to left. So if you do that and you see a bird taking off, you can hold that button all you like, but if you haven't got the right optical stabilization in there, it can ruin your images. So yeah, you've got to make sure you're rapid in changing that over. So as I said in that video about knowing your camera, learn how easy you can flick that switch over. Now, I admit on the Sigma it's very, very easy. There's a few buttons down there, like custom function ones, autofocus to manual focus, and the optical stabilization. If you can go from holding your lens to flicking that thumb back and changing it from 1 to 2, which is actually fairly easy, and then holding that button, it will help a lot. Now, there you go, how to do it. But the one drawback, and that drawback is, sorry, sun again. And that drawback is knowing how to change your lens, because if you don't, you ain't gonna get the shot regardless of holding that button. So, yeah. Right, I'm gonna crack on a bit further, see if I can get any more shots today. I'd say it's been a damn sight more successful than I expected it to be. Well, considering how I expected today to be quite a poor day for photography, it's actually turned out to be fantastic. I've been sat here and I'm out on another almost peninsula-esque kind of bit of land that juts out onto Burnham's Mere. Quite, that sun's just come out and it's hot as well. And I'm sat here and I was just thought, oh, I'll wait a bit and see what happens. And I've just seen some ducklings. I have no idea what kind they are, but they were just swimming around, catching the dragonflies and stuff that were on the, well, attempting to. And I've got some beautiful backlit swans. And I put into action what I wanted to talk about today with regards to ensuring you get that shot in what can be a rapidly changing environment. There was a cormorant. You can't really see it, but there's this green bit here is an island, and he came sort of swimming out this way. And I was like, oh, brilliant, get some shots of the cormorant on the water. And I've got my camera up, and I'm just focusing on him as he starts flapping his wings and starts to take off. I flick the optical stabilization in the lens over, hold that button, and start firing away. And I fortunately got some just before he flew off, where there's the water splashes and everything, because obviously I've got that programmed now to 1/4000th of a second, and I'm hoping they came out all right and that the focus hit perfectly. So I'm happy with that, and I go back to taking more pictures of my ducklings, just release that button, flick the OS back, and I'm taking pictures of the ducklings again, and I hear this noise. There is a cormorant nest on another island directly opposite where I'm facing now. As mummy or daddy cormorant, whichever one it is, lands in the nest and starts feeding the babies. I mean, these aren't babies in the same respect that the ducklings are. These things are huge. You might be able to hear them now. That sort of high-pitched squawking noise. It's not the most pleasant, but when you're sat here watching them, it's beautiful. And I know a lot of people give cormorants a bad rep. You know, the winged devils, the black death, and all this sort of stuff. Because obviously they've now moved inland due to a lot of issues with coastal erosion and things like that. They now come more inland and they are taking the fish out of the bodies of water and stuff. And do you know what? That's a people problem. We've caused most of these issues. And then we moan about the repercussions of these things. It's all right, there's another duckling on the water again. Just bimbling around. This is probably going to be quite a long video. But man alive. It was only supposed to be a quick video. Quick topic about always getting your shot, using that custom function setup. I'm sure Nikon, so I think Simon d'Entremont uses Canon, and that's where I was like, oh, brilliant idea. Didn't think of that. Obviously I use Sony, so I know it's definitely on that. So I'm sure you guys can hunt it out in your cameras as well. Ah, oh, sorry, those cormorants are beautiful. Just squawking away quite happily. I'm going to go back to gushing about the birds. I'm sure you don't just want to watch a video of me sat here smiling at them. The little ducklings on the water as well. Man, as I say, this was not a half-assed video, but I was like, I'm out late, it's bright, it's warm, don't know if I'll get any pictures. Okay, I'm walking back to the car now. Decided to call it a day. One of the reasons is my nose won't stop running. As I say, I've got this tail end of this cold, so I'm a proper classy guide now. So if I keep sniffing, I do apologise. It's just my nose doesn't run. I've been so stuffed up, and now all of a sudden it just decided to while I've sat around on that bit. So I apologise. I also apologise about the bright sun in the canopy as well, blinding everyone, blowing out the video. But I tell you what, today ain't half been a success. I'm just going to go into a bright area now, and hopefully the pictures came out all right. I mean, I've probably said it numerous times in this video, I genuinely thought today wouldn't be that much of a success, and it actually transpires. I don't think the GoldenEye pictures have come out very well, because they just wouldn't come close enough for me to get a decent focus on them. But I got the common terns, the black-headed gull, the swans, the ducklings, and obviously the cormorants as well. Oh, and obviously the blue dragonflies, which I was taking some pictures of to try and get some banker shots, so that it's not all of just me waffling to you guys. There are actually some photos in here as well. So yeah, all in all, I think we've had a really successful day out. I'm smiling, I'm happy. I mean, being out in this is just makes me happy anyway, you know. The weather is gorgeous, the winds are really calm. It's just, I'm in my element in places like this. You know what? Mrs. S and I literally last night finished watching season 3 of Clarkson's Farm. And there's a bit at the end, at the very last episode, where he basically says, you know, farming is, I'm going to paraphrase because I can't remember the exact words, it's the hardest job in the world. All the stuff that they go through, all the heartache and devastation, and you're at the mercy of the weather and everything like that. And he says, do you know what? It's the best job in the world. And I've kind of feel very similar to that with wildlife photography, and coming out and shooting these videos and dodging the weather and getting up early, and a lot of things that most people hate to do. And I wouldn't change it for the world. Same with landscapes as well. You know, I'm focusing a lot on wildlife at the moment, but I love my landscape photography and the long hikes, and in the hope that the sunset's half decent and the views are spectacular, and all just to get a photo. And you know what? I wouldn't change it for the world. Photography, genuinely for me, is the best job in the world. I just wish I was good at it. But on that note, obviously, do remember, have a look and see if your camera can set up a custom function where you're able to switch your settings at the hold of a button, so that it allows you to rapidly change. Now, it's not necessarily going to be of a huge benefit to like the landscape photographers out there, because partly it's, how do I put this? You don't rapidly need to change your settings. If you're out with a super zoom, something like a 28 to 300 or something along those lines, and you're out doing a combination of landscape photography and wildlife, you may want to set that up. But if you're just like out with a 24 to 50, is that one of the new Sigma lenses? I can't remember. If you're out with something like that and you've got no chance of wildlife, it's kind of a pointless thing. But for wildlife photography, it's fantastic and will help you get more shots and better shots, because you can rapidly change and always remember the optical stabilization on your lens. So yeah, I'll stop waffling now. There's some people coming by the sounds of it. So obviously, if you like the video, give us the old thumbs up, drop some subscribes from down the bottom, and obviously press that notification bell. And yeah, this is Mike out. Take care and be safe, everyone. Peace.